Welcome back to History of Simple Things. Today's topic comes from one of our viewers, Malik Awan, 6771. Thanks for the suggestion. You asked, who invented the ATM and how did it become such a big part of banking? If you've ever withdrawn money from a wall-mounted cash machine at 2 a.m., you've probably taken that moment for granted. But behind that simple transaction lies decades of innovation, trial and error, and a surprisingly quirky origin story involving bath-time brainstorming and vending machine logic. So who came up with the idea of letting people get cash without a teller? And how did it spread across the globe? Stick around as we unravel the fascinating history of the ATM right here on History of Simple Things. Let's go back to the 1960s, a time when banking was still painfully analog. If you needed money, you had to visit a branch, stand in line, and hope to make it before the doors shut at 3 p.m. That's where John Shepherd-Barron enters the scene. A Scottish inventor working with De La Rue Instruments, Shepherd-Barron was reportedly lounging in his bathtub when he had a sudden burst of inspiration. Why not make a cash dispensing machine, like a chocolate bar vending machine, but for money? Barclays Bank in London liked the idea, and in 1967, the world's first ATM was installed at their Enfield branch. It used paper vouchers preloaded with specific amounts and even relied on a bit of radioactive ink to verify transactions. But Shepherd-Barron wasn't alone. Around the same time, Luther George Simjian in the US had already been experimenting with the idea of a Bankograph, a machine for accepting deposits and photo-recording them for security. Installed briefly in New York in the late 1950s, Simjian's machine never quite took off because customers didn't trust machines with their money. Still, it was a crucial first step in the concept of self-service banking. Here's where the story gets messy. While Shepherd-Barron gets a lot of the early credit, the patent for the first true card-based ATM actually goes to James Goodfellow, a Scottish engineer. In 1966, Goodfellow developed a machine that used a plastic card with a magnetic stripe combined with a PIN, personal identification number. Sounds familiar, right? That innovation, pairing something you have, a card, with something you know, a PIN, became the foundation for modern ATM security. Though Shepherd-Barron's machine came out first, it was Goodfellow's design that became the global standard. In the US, the ATM gained traction thanks to Donald Wetzel, an engineer working for Goodfellow, a company that had been building baggage handling systems for airports. Wetzel proposed the idea of a machine that could dispense cash using an encrypted card and a PIN system, very much in line with what Goodfellow had patented. With backing from Chemical Bank in New York, the first modern ATM in the US was installed in 1969 in Rockville Center, Long Island. Chemical Bank even ran a cheeky ad campaign saying, "Our bank will open at 9 o'clock and never close again." From there, things snowballed. The 1970s and 80s saw massive growth in ATM manufacturing. Companies like NCR, IBM, and Diebold began mass-producing these machines. But there was still one problem. Each bank's ATM only worked for its own customers. That started changing as interbank networks formed. Systems like Cirrus and Plus, launched in the late 1970s and early 1980s, allowed cardholders from one bank to access cash from another bank's machine, whether across town or across the globe. As ATMs became more common, the focus shifted to making them smarter and safer. The 1980s and 90s were all about improving the software, the security, and the user experience. Remember that beeping green screen? That gave way to touch screens, multi-language interfaces, and real-time banking. Encryption protocols became tighter, especially as ATM frauds started to emerge. Skimming devices, used by criminals to steal card information, forced banks to develop new anti-tamper features. PINs were encrypted more securely, and card readers were designed to resist tampering. Biometric technologies began to appear too. In Brazil and Japan, some banks rolled out ATMs that accepted fingerprint or palm vein scans. This wasn't just futuristic flair. It helped fight fraud in countries where card cloning was a major issue. And as machines got more capable, they also got more useful. You could pay bills, top up your phone, deposit checks, or even buy train tickets, all from a single kiosk. In many ways, the ATM was morphing from a money machine into a full-service mini-branch. Each country found its own way to adapt the ATM. In India, for example, mobile ATMs were introduced to serve remote villages. In China, ATMs inside convenience stores became part of everyday life. And in South Korea, you could log into an ATM using a smart ID and complete complex transactions in minutes. Yet at the same time, parts of Africa and Southeast Asia started skipping over the ATM altogether. Mobile banking services like Kenya's M-Pesa allowed users to send, receive, and store money directly from their phones. No card, no machine needed. But even there, ATMs still serve a purpose, as cash-out points for digital wallets or emergency backup when phone service fails. The global ATM count peaked in the mid-2010s, just as mobile banking was hitting its stride. But the machines haven't vanished. They've evolved. Post-COVID, ATMs became contactless, supporting QR code withdrawals and app-based access. No card, no touching, just scan, confirm, and go. It's not that we stopped using ATMs, we just started using them differently. So next time you punch in your PIN or tap your phone at an ATM, remember, you're interacting with the product of decades of design, invention, and collaboration. From John Shepherd-Barron's bathtub epiphany to James Goodfellow's groundbreaking security system, to Donald Wetzel's push for automation in America, and all the engineers around the world who made the ATM reliable, safe, and universal, this humble machine has had quite the journey. It's seen revolutions in banking, technology, and human behavior. And while the future might be increasingly digital, that little metal box on the corner isn't going anywhere just yet. Thank you for watching. If you have suggestions for our next video, feel free to share them in the comments below. We'll be sure to give you an acknowledgement for your contribution. Thank you for joining us on this journey through the history of simple things. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and stay tuned for more stories woven through the smallest details.